Welcome, everybody, back to the Friar Talk YouTube and podcast channel. Today, we're going to be talking about the A's recap, and then in the podcast episode, we'll be talking a little bit about Mark Melancon, the bullpen, and then also about Trent Grisham and Tommy Pham. So let's get started with this A's recap. Chase, I'll go to you, man. What was just your overall thoughts on this split two-game series against the A's?
The first game, it was impressive. I didn't think Snell got out of those innings. Every time it came up, and I was just like, wow, typical Snell on the road. I mean, he did get saved a couple times by the defense, but hey, he got out of it. He went through, I think, 5 scoreless innings, and that's everything you could have asked for Snell. Then we shouldn't have lost yesterday. Musgrove pitched too good of a game for us to lose. Melancon blew it in the 8th. Then Tim Hill and a combination of Will Myers blew it in the 10th. We'll probably catch that ball on stage, but lost it in the sun. Granted, it did hit the wall. It's just one of those things where you never know if Will catches it, if we get out of that inning alive or not. So it's that. But hey, the starting pitcher did their jobs. 5 innings, 1 or 0 earned runs each outing. That's everything that you needed to do from your top 2 guys. Hopefully, the rest of them continue this trend. If not, hopefully Darvish bounce back. It would be really great to see him bounce back because then, your top 3 guys can at least give you 5 innings, 0 earned runs, which is everything you need. But the more concerning part of this series, it's like we are going to have to move Melancon out closing because it's been really sketchy the times he has closed, and he just did blow it last night.
Obviously, a really unfortunate way to lose, or not. Well, we didn't lose that series, but to lose that last game. On a 162-game season, those kind of losses are bound to happen. It's just a really long season, and those are going to happen every once in a while. That was a gut punch for sure, especially considering how many games out we are of the NL West lead. So it's very unfortunate that it happened. I had a lot of confidence in Mark Melancon going into that last inning, not because I think he's a particularly good pitcher, but just because just the flow of the game, the way everything was going, it felt like everything was going the Padres' way. So I just thought, okay, we'll be all right, even if Mark Melancon, isn't on his game today. But that first game, very encouraging. The Padres put up a lot of runs. It kind of showed like this team is hungry every time. And I'm not saying Fernando is like bad for the team. He's amazing for this team. He's our best player. He's our catalyst. But these guys get really hungry. They play inspired baseball, knowing like they have to pick up the slack. They have to pick up after one of their best players who's unfortunately on the IL right now. They know they have to do the job while he's out, and they play very inspiring baseball, put up 7 runs, or was it 8 runs? It was 8 runs, right? Yeah, they put up 8 runs in that game. Nola, amazing. That was what we wanted to see from our catcher, and unfortunately the end of yesterday took away from a lot of the positives that came out of this series. Obviously the negative, I brought it up earlier, we're a lot of games out of the lead in the NL West, but the hitting was good. Joe Musgrove, unfortunately, never gets a lot of run support, which sucks. I mean, 3 runs is okay, but Borna had an interesting stat that the Padres only have like 20 wins in games where they score under 5 runs. So obviously that's very concerning. The starting pitching, that's on the starting pitching, but yesterday when the starting pitching is on like that, you can't afford to lose those kind of games. And we just got to move forward with this loss and hope this team stays hungry.
It did seem like Wednesday's game would have, brought some momentum onto this. It's a mixture of home and road games, but like this easy stretch of a schedule where the Padres can make up some ground on the Giants, on the Dodgers, and potentially flirt with a first place finish. And they lose that game, fall to 7 games behind on the Giants. So it was definitely really frustrating. Chase brought up Mark Melancon. Isaac, you did too. We're going to talk about him. That'll be the segment that comes out on Saturday. And that's really just like the bullpen in general, but more specifically about that closer spot. And it's interesting because he's been pitching well. He has been pitching well lately, but we've been advocating for Dinelson Lamet to be the closer for a very, very long time. So if you followed us for like 5 months, you'd know that we were talking about that a long time ago. So we'll get more into that later. But this series, I think in both games, you saw a lot of you saw the Padres' ability to just go base hit, where they just have those big innings where it's just hit after hit after hit. Doesn't matter if there's 1 out, doesn't matter if there's 2 outs, but they're able to bring guys in. So it was really good to see that. especially on Tuesday's game where it seemed like they were just go on a roll. But I think that it was just a frustrating way to lose because, like you said, you never want to lose that Wednesday game because it's just they shouldn't have lost the game. And you're in such a tight race, and now it's August, and you can't really afford to lose those games. So it definitely leaves a sour taste in your mouth after that one. In a game that was 100% winnable, and the Padres definitely should have won that game. So it was pretty frustrating to see that happen. But anything on this series before we start moving on to some other stuff?
Marisnik should never start against righties. We all know that he's a lefty specialist. Myers should have been starting that game, and maybe he catches that ball because he gets used to the sunlight. Myers should have been starting against a righty. I don't know why Tingler had Marisnik, who's a career 229 hitter, against the righty when he only hits lefties well. So I think that's a very questionable call, and maybe the game changes a little bit with who knows. But yeah, that's on that. Marisnik should definitely only be starting against lefties. I don't know why Tingler had him out against a dominant righty.
Very obvious point that needs to be brought up is that the Padres, obviously yesterday they blew it, but they need to start playing this way against teams that are the teams like the Diamondbacks, the teams like the Rockies. They need to start playing this way against those kind of teams because that's the difference between us and the Dodgers and the Giants right now is that we're not able to win those games that we should be winning. We're not able to close out those series that we should be winning. But when it comes to those teams that are good, like the Reds, the Dodgers, we won a series against the Giants. I haven't played them that much, but I do remember us winning a series against them. Teams like that, the A's, we play pretty well. And against other teams, I don't know what happens. They just play down to their competition. Like I said, the end of yesterday's game took away from a couple positives that happened throughout the series. The starters came through. Both Snell and Musgrove pitched really well. The hitters, they all came through with Fernando out of the lineup and put up a lot of runs. And even yesterday with Manny struggling severely against Montas, 4 strikeouts. He had a hit, but he had 4 strikeouts prior to that. Cronenworth didn't exactly do very well either. They were still able to manufacture some runs. So that's pretty inspiring. And hopefully they were able to move forward after that loss.
Yeah, so that's going to do it for this recap of this quick 2-game series. And we will be going live tomorrow about 30 minutes before the game. So what's that, like 6:30, I think. So we'll go live then, preview that series and ask any questions that you guys have. But that's going to do it for this recap.